So let's see here if we are live once again here on Gathering of Light. And yeah, there we are. Hi everyone. Once again, let's try to make this work this time. And we are waiting for Cody, who is going to join us shortly. He will be right on here. Join us shortly. Well, let's see if we. Oh, there he is showing up. I
Hear me?
can't hear you.
Okay. Can
Now
you
I
hear me now?
can, but you're very low. Let's see if I can tune up the volume here. Volume. Can you say something?
I check one, two.
Yeah, that's perfect. Hi, Cody. Welcome.
I sorry about the confusion or me trying to get in.
I think it's pretty funny actually. We are going to talk about the sun and what it's doing right now, changing its vibration, changing light, and then you have just shifted into another time zone because you are living in that state that has shifted. We haven't shifted our time yet, so we will be doing that in a couple of for the next month. I think it's in April sometime. But we are here and it's going to be perfect. So, how are you, Cody? How you been since we talked the last time?
Um, uh, Fairly good, I guess. At least the weather is kind of warming up a bit, so that's nice. But it's definitely still very rainy. Uh, it's The weather around me is very bipolar, to where it just like will randomly rain for like 10 minutes and then be blue skies right afterwards. So it's kind of weird, but yeah.
Feels like someone is tampering with the weather.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Hmm. Maybe that's true. Who knows? So we have the same thing here. It's starting to warm up. The nature is slowly waking up here. The first flowers has just burst out. So it's kind of nice to be outside right now. It's a bit chilly yet, but you know, it's start to melt. The snow is melting, and the dried grass from just last year is popping up there, and it's a lot of small fires. We don't have any huge fires yet, but there's a lot of small fires because the grass is so dry. Um,
Hmm.
so we are always waiting for this month to end so we can move forward
Hmm.
into the next phase. Well, that's enough about the past.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we are here today, Cody, and we are going to talk about light. We are going to talk about how the light is changing and what it actually is doing to us, and more specific, what it's doing to our sacred geometric symbols. Because if the light is changing, in my perspective, so are they.
Hmm. Yes, yeah, because the frequencies are always have a mathematical counterpart to it, or mathematical sacred geometry counterpart. With the increasing of frequency comes the increasing complexity of the sacred geometry.
So how will it affect us? Because if they are changing the vibration and the symbols that we can see with our visual eyes, um, they will also change, and that will cause some kind of an effect
Mhm.
on in our physical bodies and around us. So,
Mhm.
what could we expect, Cody? Do you have any insight about that?
Yeah, well, with these new sacred geometries, basically unlocks a new uh, basically unlocks codes within our DNA, stuff that's already been there but kind of dormant. And as soon as light changes, the frequencies change, and we kind of absorb those frequencies and adapt to them. Our DNA changes with that, and kind of allows for greater access to the DNA that has been previously kind of locked behind closed doors.
So
Yeah,
this,
lots of
yeah,
yeah.
go
Go ahead.
ahead.
Okay. Well, basically, it would be new abilities that we'll be getting into, more awareness of energy, more kind of sensitivity to energy. Um, some people will randomly start being able to access more empathy of others, kind of someone that might have not had been very empathic before would start feeling very empathic and kind of being able to tell what somebody's even thinking or kind of what they're going through. And so, yeah, it would be kind of just an increase in an awareness of all senses,
So this is a natural step within the ascension process. The
Yes,
vibration
definitely.
is changing, and so are we.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
if those are changing, and we have this, we can take one symbol. Let's take the symbol of flower of life. So if that one is intense with another frequency, will the symbol itself change or the vibration within it?
It would be the vibration within the symbol, because the symbol is with in the example of the flower of life is kind of already completed, so to speak. You can view it in very different ways or kind of more complex ways, but it's not really going to change itself. It would be you have more awareness of the symbol itself, because the symbol is kind of complete, but you might not see the full complexity of it and all the connections between it. And so your awareness of the symbol will just increase. The symbol is already complete. It's just kind of your sensitivity to it, or sensitivity to uh, things that you might have overlooked basically will increase.
So consciously, we are moving into the next classroom, so to speak, graduating
Yes,
from the past and moving into a next level of understanding of cosmos.
exactly. Yes, yeah, and just like within the sun itself, like the sun is kind of complete within its consciousness. It's not really going to like increase because it's already fully conscious. What we are interacting with the sun with is our level of awareness of the sun's consciousness. The
Mm.
sun isn't the sun isn't like fully projecting its full consciousness into the solar system because we can't handle that level of consciousness. It would overtake ours, and so it's kind of lowering its consciousness, or it's not really lowering it. It's we only have access to a certain limited amount of its consciousness, its energy from our perspective. But people that are on an Earth that is of a higher frequency and all that stuff are interacting with the sun on a different level of frequency. So it's all contained into one thing, but we just our access to it is limited. But as we increase our frequency, increase our genetic code, and uh, those things, we get more and more awareness and more access to that consciousness.
Mm. So I guess that the main question for many now is what exactly is it that is changing? Because I said the light is changing. I was obviously thinking about our sun. So
Mhm.
a lot of us are seeing that or feeling that our sun has become much brighter and much more light yellow than before. Um,
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
that is, yeah, that is a visual
yeah, there's a
perspective.
visual aspect to it, and there's
Ah,
also the 11-year cycle that is coming up, and so or that we're in the middle of, I should say. The cycle of the sun physically goes through these 11-year cycle of activity and less activity, so like increased activity and less activity. Uh, right now, we're kind of in the middle of its increasing of activity. So it's
mm,
going to be more powerful. It's going to have much more solar flares. It's going to be seem more active, basically, which will also change the color of it because it will seem like there's much more energy coming from it.
Mm.
Yeah,
So that means that the oh, what are we calling it? The northern sky, norrsken.
yeah, northern
Yeah.
sky.
When that light is more visible in other places than before, that will also affect us on a physical level and a mental level.
Yes, yeah, because it'd be more of the solar not wind, but it's basically a solar wind that is being trapped within the Earth's magnetic sphere. That's what is the phenomenon of the northern lights, is basically the energy of the sun hitting Earth and going into the very kind of poles of the magnetic uh, sphere of Earth. And so it creates the, or aurora borealis effect. And so it would basically be a combination of the Earth's magnetic field changing as well with the sun's increase of activity that would allow for the northern lights to come into different places that would not normally be. Uh, so
Kind
yeah,
of
and
interesting.
mhm,
So there actually is a lot of things taking place in the universe right now. We have this planetary lineup, and we have this increasing activity from the sun that affects us. And I read somewhere that one galaxy has now merged with another galaxy. So the energy from that has slowly moved in, so there is no space between those galaxies anymore, which means that their uh, physical or etherical bubble of energy is pushing forward and pushing out of their so-called
mhm,
space that they were,
mhm,
holding itself into before. So is that going to affect us too? Because if everything is pushed forward in the universe, it should mean that it affects the our
mhm.
our part of the universe,
Yes. Yeah,
third.
because those two very powerful energies, two galaxies come together. One, it's a very slow process. Everything moves very slowly with
Mm.
because it's such big scale, and
Yeah.
so it's been doing it for billions of years, basically coming together. So if it's getting very very close to where they're basically overlapping and like fully at that point of kind of merging, there'll still be some back and forth energies because it's all gravitation. But what's really happening is two gravitational waves becoming like one mega wave, if you will. So it's like as if you had like two individual waves that are doing this, and as soon as they overlap and get to it, it becomes big waves. And so those gravitational waves move
Um,
further, faster across, the sky or not the sky, around space, and it will affect the gravitational pull and gravitational frequencies of our solar system as well. But it depending on how far away those galaxies are, it might take a while for us to feel the effects of those waves.
so you can almost say it's
Mhm.
like a cosmic tsunami within a couple of billions of years.
Yes, basically, yes, very
Yeah.
much.
Huge tsunami moving very, very slow. So, but as you said, it has been going on for a very long time. And if we can now see it with our telescopes, then some of the energy should and would already been in a process of
Mhm.
interacting with us, which
Yes,
means that that is sort of obviously a part of the ascension process too. It's kind of interesting is how everything is coming back to this cycle that is constantly moving and everything is repeating itself, but every circle is new when it's repeating
Mhm.
itself.
Yes, yes. It's a spiral, not a complete circle, because it's always one step above. So you just circle, cycle, cycle, and it's always going up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's pretty interesting. Do you have anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just one thing is of being able to see it now is because of the speed of light. It takes forever for and that's how we measure how far things are is this light years. The amount of how far a light particle or light can travel within 1 year is light years, and so for something that is a billion light years away, it's going to take a billion years for us to see that light. but the gravitational waves are very interesting because they can actually move. They say nothing moves faster than the speed of light, but it's technically not true, so to speak, because gravitational waves can affect things quantumly. So it's basically an immediate reaction between all things. So it's kind of working on the Higgs boson type of particle to where things are interacting with each other from billions of light years away, but they still affect the particles over here, and so it's there will be immediate effects from it. But technically, those galaxies that merge and they're we're seeing it have already kind of gone through its full cycle of maybe like de-emerging and then coming together because it's all you know coming together. It basically the galaxy or the universe is very complex, and trying to explain it within simple words it gets very confusing.
Well, you're doing just great, Cody. You're doing just great. But I do have two questions. Um,
Mhm.
let's play with the thought that two galaxies actually coming that close, so there is no space between them. What is going to happen? Is that a possibly build up for a new black hole, or is it a expansion into a new in dimension, or part of
Yeah,
universe, or what is actually
basically
happening?
basically it'll merge into one large galaxy. But the black holes that are at the center of the galaxies uh, will basically, because things are really, really far apart, they won't actually fully collide or anything like that. It's just a gravitational pull on each thing is going to be slowly coming together and coming together. And so the things with the most gravitational pull, the black holes at the center, will eventually start coming closer and closer together. And whichever is kind of largest, so to speak, whichever has the most gravitational pull, will basically suck the other black hole into it and become even larger. And so it'll become like two small black holes will become one
Mm,
medium-sized black hole. you know, uh, so it just like slightly upgrades itself, and then it'll have the pull of all the rest of the stars and all that type of stuff that was in both galaxies will kind of come together, and it'll eventually kind of settle out to where they kind of get into a good rhythm. But depending on how close things are to each other, but there might be some actual stars hitting each other and all that type of stuff. But it's very, very rare because space is very big. So yeah.
yeah, the space is very big, yeah, and it's so huge to grasp. I totally get that, but it's kind of interesting to just play and speed the event up a bit in my own mind, so you can see
Mhm.
what's actually happening, because that could mean that two galaxy actually is vanishing, and something new is in it's need to be created.
Yeah, basically it would be it'd be two separated galaxies that we would define or
Mm,
label as two separate ones coming together. Both of those labels go away, and then it's creating a full new galaxy that would be having to be labeled as something completely
mm,
new. And so it is basically like two galaxies disappearing, but it's not like it's you know it's in the I don't know how to kind of fully describe it, but if you take like Play-Doh, Play-Doh, and you have two colors of Play-Doh, and you're coming together, and you kind of combine it all the type of stuff. You had two separate before. When you combine the two, it's almost impossible to get them to be fully separate again. So
yeah.
they're fully combined now. Therefore, it is a creation of something new because you can't take it apart and have the two separate ones again.
Mm.
And so that's kind of the cycle of it.
But it's still very, very far from now.
Oh yes.
Just to be clear, it's a lot of million years before that is actually happening. So
Mhm.
yeah, well that's cool. Um, but by talking about this huge tsunami of energy that is hitting our way, even if it's going to take some time, What about
Mhm.
all these wormholes that are there? So if we can teleport between different spaces, isn't there a possibility that that energy actually is moving a lot faster through some of the wormholes, or is that in a possible interaction with these transport and
Oh,
communication systems?
oh yes, definitely, yeah. Because basically, when you're creating a wormhole, you're not really traveling through the whole thing. You're bending space and to basically become closer together, so it shortens the length of time, or shortens the space between uh, spots in space. And so the energy would be going through that, and therefore the gravitational wave gets kind of split up as if a pond in water, or like you have a rippling in a pond, and you have different rocks that are kind of around. It hits a rock and gets dispersed, and so becomes a kind of completely new wave on its own. And because it's hitting things and interacting with it, well as if it goes into a wormhole and all that type of stuff, it would go through it, and it kind of becomes its own wave. So it's kind of disconnected from the original wave, original
Mhm.
one. And it also will go into different universes, because if it hits something like a black hole and gets sucked into that, kind of interacts with that. Black holes and white holes are basically two intersecting like counterparts to each other, because a white hole is basically something that expels energy, as basically from nothing. A black hole sucks things in, and what we seem to say is that it becomes nothing. It kind of gets so densified that it goes away, and light can't escape it, and all that type of stuff. But a black hole and a white hole are always connected, to where the energy from one being sucked in from a black hole goes into another universe that is being expelled as a white hole. And so you have multiple universes interacting with each other through the black holes and white holes. And so it's all combined. And so if you have a gravitational wave that is so strong, it goes through a black hole and goes out a white hole, it will affect that other universe extremely uh, strong as well. There will be a major effect, even if it didn't originate within that universe. It originated in a different universe.
That was kind of interesting. I never heard about the white hole before.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Well, it hasn't been scientifically proven yet, because they need a lot of they need more evidence to kind of prove the white hole. But it's kind of generally accepted that mathematically it's possible and all that stuff. They just haven't visually been able to prove it, so to speak. um, but
It kind of
for
make a
sure,
lot of
yeah.
sense when you're talking about it because if it's something is pulling the density so hard so that it's vanished, it needs to create itself somewhere else, right? And that's the foundation of our universe. It's a bit
Yes,
of
yeah, because
duality.
yeah, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Yeah.
It's all there at once, so to speak. And so yeah, you can't take energy, all this light and matter and all that stuff, and get it sucked into a black hole and it just disappears. It's against the laws of physics, if you will. So it has to go somewhere, and therefore a white hole is the mathematical kind of answer to it, that it gets expelled out from a white hole. Yeah.
Mm. So maybe that is how New Dimension is creating
Mhm.
itself. Everything is in a constant move. So, we are talking about dimensions, we are talking about different levels of it, but when you reach to a final level, it can't stop there. It needs to,
Yep.
develop itself. So it's a constant movement.
Oh yes, yeah. It's you can say that the universe is our existence is never ending, but at the same time, it's already ended, if you will, because it's all here at once. It's all here and now. It's time is an illusion, so it's all there. Yet how we experience it is linearly. Therefore, we experience it as always expanding, always having more to it. So yeah, it's
Mm.
never stopping. Yet it's never started, never ended.
Yeah, it's another story. that.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the creation of light and our beautiful symbols. Um, what can we say more about this? One of my other question was if the frequency is changing within the symbols, and when they are manifesting themselves, you might not see any difference um, in the with your physical eyes if you have this, frequency manifesting into a visual symbol.
Mhm. Mhm.
But um, does it add another dimension to the symbol? I do know that it open up to expansion of your consciousness and other abilities, but I'm more curious about the actual physical symbol, the energetic form, or how I
Mhm.
should explain it. Something there needs to be changing too.
Yes, yes. Not sure if you're familiar with the um, visualization tool of frequencies, where it's not a tool, but it's actually like a physical thing where there's a plate, a vibrating plate, and you put salt or some type of sand on top of it, and you vibrate the plate at a certain frequency. The salt or the sand or whatever on top will change shape, right? And so it'll shift to a specific symbol that is correlated to that frequency. Now, as the frequency changes, it shifts. The sand also shifts to a different symbol. But if you go to kind of the next level of that frequency to where it's almost like a matched pitch, but on a different key, well, um, it's kind of hard to say, but it's basically like at a certain point, frequencies are always, at least the symbols of these frequencies tend to repeat themselves at certain intervals. But at those intervals, they seem the same, but are more complex. They get bigger, they get more layers added to it, yet it still has the same symbol at the very core of it. It
Mhm.
just gets expanded. And so when those frequencies, change and all that type of stuff, the symbol might seem the same, but there might be an expanded version of it. It might get just a little bit bigger, might get more lines added to it, all that type of stuff. But the core symbol itself doesn't change; it just expands. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I kind of grasp that. So the next question that is following to that is we have been pushing this episode of this creation of light and symbols, etc., for a couple of weeks now, and it popped up in my news feed about that they discovered cylinders under the
Mhm.
pyramids.
Yes,
Uh,
the giant structures. Yes.
yeah, does that have anything to do with the timing is specific for the all the changes. We are in essential process. Of course, there are going to be a lot of changes. We do know that, and we are aware of it too. But for the now, when we started to talk about doing this conversation about how the energy is changing within these geometrical symbols, the pyramids are a huge symbol.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah,
So
they're.
is it starting to wake up, shaking its old layers off and
Mhm.
come to life for real? What do you think?
Well, I would say that because those structures were already there before, it's not like it was randomly built or randomly came into existence. They were there. It's just we didn't have the technology to find those things. With new technology, we allowed us to see deeper into what's below the pyramids and all that stuff, which is why they were able to find, these structures under the pyramid. Um, and so it's more along the lines of our consciousness changing to be able to accept the new information that the pyramids have more to them than what we originally thought. So, as the pyramid shape is what we are used to, so to speak, if our consciousness changes, then we just are allowed more information or expanded view on the pyramid shape, which would include the structures under it. And probably after that would be our understanding of, you know, what the purpose of it is, and beyond that, understand the why the pyramids were created in the first place and all that type of stuff. So our association with that symbol of the pyramids just changes and expands a little bit by little bit as our consciousness is willing to accept that new information.
Can you share a bit about how you feel about it, what you are sensing about it, or your
Well, yeah,
interpretation of the facts that has been presented so far?
yes, yeah. Well, I think it's going to be very controversial, so to speak, of like people contesting it, basically saying that it's fake or the scientists are lying, that it's not real, all that type of stuff. And so there would be a lot of kind of like, oh, you really believe that, type of stuff, kind of denying it basically until there's full like concrete proof of where they actually like either go into those caverns, go into the structures and fully see it, or have true pictures of it, so to speak, and not just you know some CGI graph that they made based off of the topography that the radar, the technology that they used was basically a topography radar that goes in 3D. And so it's not just, topography, which is flat land of how tall or, deep things are. It's becomes, three-dimensional. And so it's going to be a lot of like, well, can you prove it? Can you prove it again? Can you prove it again? For the kind of masses to accept it. Whereas kind of people that already knew that there's something under the pyramids and they just didn't have the evidence for it are going to be obviously very ecstatic and don't really need any more proof. That's proof for them. It's kind of just confirming what they've already
Mm.
known and kind of believed. So it's going to be kind of, again, polarizing type of event or information. But eventually, if enough evidence comes out that the masses can truly believe it and kind of grasp it, accept it, then it will change our understanding of how we deal with those megastructures, you know, um, how we move forward with interacting with the pyramid itself as well. I kind of already knew that there was stuff under the pyramid and knew that there's even like full cities, basically a giant city under the pyramid. But it just hasn't really been evidence proved it type of thing. And so for me, it's a very exciting event, obviously exciting information because it's kind of proving that, yeah, there is more to the pyramid than what meets the eye.
Yeah. I haven't read. I have scrolled through the article. I haven't,
Mhm,
sat down and read it with open eyes and a clear
mhm,
perspective on it yet, but I will.
mhm,
Uh, but the first thing that come to my mind when I was scrolling down the article was a connection to Nikola Tesla's um, energetic tower, power tower.
Yes, very much. Yeah, especially the coils that are going down. You got,
Yeah.
basically hollow tubes that are going down 600 meters with the spirals going down, and then opens up into two separate like boxes, if you will, under those things that are 2 kilometers wide. Um, or in length, whatever you want to call it. And so just looking at it, it does seem like it's basically a giant Tesla coil, because the pyramid on top is kind of what would be that metal thing, and you get the coils of energy within the box that would probably be the kind of power source, if you will. And so
Mm.
it go up, and so it kind of is. It kind of looks like the perfect example of how to create a Tesla coil, and it correlates perfectly with why the pyramids were built in the first place, which is the Christ consciousness grid, you know,
Yeah.
and to kind of accelerate the Christ consciousness so that we could. So that's a whole nother story. I don't want to fully get into that because that'll be a while. But basically, it corroborates the existence of why they're there in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't let it go quite yet. We can say, spare the Christ consciousness for another show, but or another chat. But I was thinking also if these are so similar to these Tesla coil. Do you call it coils? Coils?
Yeah. Coil, yeah,
Coil.
coils.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if there are pyramids all over the world and they are assumingly having the same structure underneath them too. I mean, they are in South America, there are in Europe, there are, well, what they are saying in Antarctic, etc. They are
Hmm.
also, for some people, saying that they are placed on Mars too. If they
Hmm.
should be activated, if this is an energy contained energy within that, that's basically free energy for the whole world. So, you know, lighting those up will provide the whole world with free energy, basically. Uh,
Hmm.
but most of all, if that is some megas construction on other planets, that will be some huge opportunities to actually start to connect with other planets,
Hmm. Yeah,
riding the
well,
wave of energies between the pyramids. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, well, the pyramid structure itself obviously didn't originate on Earth. It's came from other places, so to speak, but
Mhm.
it's kind of a true symbol of kind of a perfect geometric energy, if you will. But the first people to really kind of have these mega structures that were built kind of had the same style of like a pyramid, different towers and domes and all that type of stuff that were usually made out of some type of clear aluminum, so to speak, or kind of I'm not sure if it's aluminum, but some type of clear metal. But they were built all over our or galaxy, I should say, or at least the local star clusters around us, uh, by these ancient builder race. And the Martians and different civilizations saw all these structures that had been around for a couple billion years and basically replicated them. They kind of like took it as inspiration, understood the energy behind it, the why they uh, why they have that specific shape and all that stuff. And so you will probably find pyramid structures on Mars because that's where they were. They'd be very degraded because no atmosphere. The sun is pretty brutal, and so it'd be kind of very detricated. But yeah, that information basically got passed over to Earth, and kind of again goes into a whole another story. But it's there's basically a very specific reason why we have pyramids on Earth, and that can kind of get um, again, it's just a very long story, so I don't really
Mm.
want to go
No, but
fully into it.
it could mean that it are stargates. So the
Oh
science
yeah, sure.
fiction movies,
Mhm.
the Stargate Atlantis,
Yes.
Stargate,
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
could be
Yeah. Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Well,
a
already
bit
have.
of
Mhm. Mhm.
documentary in a
Yes.
playful way,
Basically.
but yeah, open up
Mhm.
the spiritual
Mhm.
consciousness of or the human consciousness of that is
Mhm.
actually something out there. But the next question, we've been talking about these um, symbols and geometric before, and we've been talking about triangles, of course. We've been talking about
Mhm.
pyramids before, but now that we are added some structure to this triangle, with the coils underneath and
Mhm. Mhm.
etc. This the another picture is starting to merge from that, another symbol. So can you feel that symbol? It's not just a triangle anymore. It's more like the tip of a another figure.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I can. Well, if you see the kind of CGI created um, kind of full picture of it,
Hmm.
um, it does kind of seem like it's pyramid on top, long tubes, and then box on the bottom. So it'd basically be like going from square using kind of a circle, if you will, but a cylinder into triangle. And so that could be in itself an energy or a symbol of energy production or something like that, of the civilization. So yeah, I can definitely see it as a new symbol, but I believe the pyramid itself will still contain. It's basically not going to fully change the image of a pyramid. It'll just be added to it, and it'll be kind of its own separate thing. So the pyramid will still be, but then there'd be like another one that would have the pyramid on top plus the cylinder and the boxes. So
Mm.
I don't think it's like a
So you
full
don't get any
replacement.
feeling that it's actually another symbol. Like we have a lot, a lot of symbols to choose from. The Metatron's cube, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That it could be a part of one of these other symbols, but we are just
Mm-hmm.
seeing the tip of like the triangle is just a tip of the blueprint of another symbol.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, I can somewhat see that. Like it's a complete symbol of the full structure and all that stuff would be the complete symbol, and then the pyramid kind of was the introduction to the symbol, so to speak. But there's pyramids that don't have that full structure under it. Therefore, it's kind of like the start of a sentence. So you get something, but the complete sentence is the full picture of the pyramid with the tubes and the box under. So it could definitely be kind of the what do you say, like the beginning of the symbol, and it just wasn't completed. And other pyramids they just didn't complete the symbol.
Yeah, and now we are actually talking about the etheric symbol. So we are not talking about the physical symbol. We're talking about the etheric vibrational symbol around it. So it's not the
Yeah.
structure itself that I'm after. So now I'm just trying to connect, with everything else that is popping up here, and I have had a lot of dreams again, but you know of this communication and teleports, teleporting, and windows popping up and closes. So I'm just trying to connect the dots here, grasping every every single bit of information here. So yeah, well, that's interesting. It's going to be
Definitely.
very interesting to follow this um, Egyptian pyramids, how they are unfolding the next chapter of human knowledge.
Definitely. Yeah, it's yeah, if it's all accepted and confirmed, all that stuff, it would definitely open up avenues of more investigation into sites that we thought were complete but need more investigation. So it would definitely open up kind of a what is it called? Open up a can of worms. I think is the phrase of like, well, if this thing goes, then it's going to be an avalanche of like, oh well, this is we need to have more information. What is this connected to? What is that connected?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, just another quick question. When did this article popped up? Is that a long
Uh,
time ago or recently?
no, recent. It was released March 13th, or not
Oh,
13th,
so it's
the
so
16th.
new.
Yeah, the 16th. Yeah, actually, when the paper was released, because it was a scientific team that did this whole thing, and then they released the scientific paper that goes along with their findings and all that type of stuff. That was released on the 16th, and then people read it, and then it blew up as an article of like, oh, pyramids. There's something underneath. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's so new.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, well, Cody, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
Um, no, I think we definitely covered a lot and kind of went all over it, but I think it flowed in somewhat. Yeah, I think we're okay.
So, is there anything else you want to add?
um, hmm, I'm not sure. No, no. Yeah, the only thing that's been and that's popping up in my head is basically just the consciousness of the sun, which we kind of already covered. So I don't know why it's popping up again.
Because
But
you're probably going to talk about it.
yeah, yeah. Well, basically, that I think what's coming through is something I already talked about, which would be that uh, because our consciousness is changing, it's also changing. It's not really changing the consciousness of the sun, but it's like changing alongside it. So it's like both increasing at the same time. But I think what's going is the consciousness of the sun dictates the consciousness of the planets. So it's basically like each planet has its own consciousness. Each thing has its own consciousness. Everything is alive and has a consciousness to it. And so it's like the sun is like the guiding post of where the consciousness of each planet can be. And so I think what is kind of happening is that uh, the sun is kind of allowing for greater consciousness of each of the planets. And so it's kind of allowing them to upgrade themselves, so to speak, which is kind of correlated or reflected within us as we're kind of being not allowed to, but we are kind of upgrading ourselves and kind of getting into this next level, so to speak. So it's a reflective of the solar system is reflecting within us that we are upgrading and the solar system itself is upgrading.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's also moving forward to the topic of Christ consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Basically, yeah, price consciousness is that would be definitely a part of it. But we've kind of almost gone past price consciousness right now, and so there's like a certain kind of grace period, so to speak. That's now we're in after achieving price consciousness a while ago, around the you know 1980s or so. We kind of achieved that price consciousness grid, activating it fully, and then now we're kind of past it and kind of fully integrating it with our own consciousness and stuff. But yeah, sorry.
And yet there are so many people just wondering what Christ consciousness is.
Yeah, yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another story. We am probably going to talk about the sun and Christ consciousness in another chat that we are
Mhm.
having. But I don't have anything more to say about these constellations. I do know that the energy is slowly shifting, and it's kind of nice to be able to see why they are shifting. You know, the visible thing that you can see the sun is brighter, the energy feels different, the sun is hotter, and all these things have a physical effect in our physical beings and not just the etherical. The
Mhm.
ether is affecting us first, and then the physical form is coming after. But it's kind of interesting in a way that we are experiencing this. It's kind of fun times to be alive, isn't it?
Oh yes, it's a very exciting time to be alive. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it could be horrible too, but of course. But I think it's pretty fun to explore everything that is going on, and within the energies, there
Mhm.
are certain things on the physical area in countries that we will not uh, be so happy about. But now we are
Mhm.
talking about the energies here. So,
Mhm.
are we going to do a healing?
Yes, yes. I thought a good uh,
Yeah,
crystal would be, we're talking about the sun and all that stuff.
yeah,
So with some orange citrite, I thought it'd be
perfect timing.
yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, and especially with this one kind of getting correlated with the solar plexus as well, which is kind of solar and sun and energy, all that stuff. So yeah, I thought this would be a good one for us.
Take it away.
So if you don't know, I'm going to be sending energy from my crystal here to you. And if you're wanting it, just accept it, verbally or in your mind, say you accept it. And if not, it's all good. All right. Okay. Mhm. energy is closing up there. I think it was just a quick but powerful punch of energy there.
It sure was. Um, yeah, interesting energies. Uh, I would like to just put a question out there. If you are feeling the changes of the energetic changes that's been taking place with this change in light and vibrations and frequency, I really would like for you to put a comment in the comment field here so we can have a look at it for to the next time. Just to see if anybody is feeling any of these changes that are affecting you in some way, either physically or emotionally or mentally, energetically, whatever. Put it in the comment field so we can get back to it and just see how these energies are, if you are experiencing the effects of the energies. So, uh, well said, Cody. Thank you so much for the beautiful healing, always good energies. Um, kind of laughed because I didn't receive so much. I didn't feel it in a particular way, but it suddenly just burst up a lot of hearts, change of energies. So beautiful, beautiful energy pouring in there. Uh, Final words.
Because, like I always like to say, just to flow with love, you know. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, good love. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much for today. And we
Yeah.
will be back, of course, with another topic and probably within 2 weeks or something.
Mhm.
We will decide on that later on here. So thank you for watching. If you want to have any chat, if you want us to talk about something, please write it in the comment field too, so we can look at it. If you do have any questions, drop them there too, so we know what we could address.
Mhm.
Uh, Thank you once again, and until the next time, stay safe.
Mhm.
And let's